you know, I think both teams would look at it and say parts of the game they played very well. You know, for us, I think we did a lot of really good things. Our game strategy, in essence, we sort of, where we thought the spaces would be in the Sofapaka sort of game plan was where they were. You know, you saw the likes of Austin especially getting a lot of space in behind the Sofapaka midfield because there was quite a big gap between that and the defence. And so we got into a lot of dangerous positions, but ultimately, you know, you can play all the pretty football you want in the world and get into that final third, but we didn't do enough to win the game. We created some chances, and you know, on another day maybe one of them do go in, but we definitely didn't. We didn't do enough to win the game. On the other side, I'm sure Sofapaka are saying that they played a very good counter-attack game. You know, they sat in a low block, sort of 5-4-1 for a lot of the game. They denied spaces. Yes, we got in behind the midfield, but then the spaces around the penalty box they denied very well. It made it very difficult for our boys to create chances. So, you know, I think Sofapaka played a really good game, and even they could have caught us on the counter-attack a couple of times, but we had a lot of the ball, we played some nice football, we created some chances, but ultimately football's not about passing and you know, step overs and those type of things. It's about putting the ball in the net. I think a draw is probably a fair result because, like I said, I think they played well, I think we played well, and neither team maybe did enough to win it. I do think it should have been a penalty in the 91st minute. I think when Austin goes through, he does a nice step over, the player doesn't win the ball, and yeah, I think it's a penalty. It's not a bad tackle, but it's a foul. But maybe, you know, you're in the 91st, 92nd minute, you don't, when both teams have worked so hard, maybe the referee didn't see it, but that's what it is. But the golden rule in football, if you want to be successful, if you can't win the game, make sure you don't lose it. And it's another point towards our collection this season, and we move on to Vihiga in a few days' time.
There's a couple of changes in your squad today. Do you think that somehow affected the momentum?
No, I just think you got to remember every team poses different challenges, and so we knew that Sofapaka were likely to sit in a low block. We knew that. And we also identified that space between the midfield and the defensive line. So the idea of having someone like Mahia, George, Blackberry and Austin getting into those spaces, and we did get into those spaces. Obviously last week we had Boniface Omondi and Lloyd Kabuchi playing, but in a sense they're maybe players for when teams push a bit higher and leave space in behind because they're runners. So you've got to pick players for the opponents. But like I said, I think we played well today, but we just didn't have that final touch, and you have days like this.
Coach, we've seen you select a lot of positive media. What is it in the team?
Well, look, I think you say that, but I think if you look back to the first sort of 3-4 games of the season, he didn't get a single minute. So when I first came in, obviously Austin is an incredibly talented footballer, but maybe in the past coaches haven't been tough enough on him out of possession because it's really easy to get mesmerised by the skill and the talent when he has the ball. But what we needed before he could become a regular was the work out of possession, the pressing, the defensive work, and I think he's upped his game there. So he's more of he plays both sides of the ball. So he's doing well. He had a good game today, and yeah. But look, like I said, he has to keep up. All the players know they've got to keep up the performances if they want to play.
Coach, you are 3 points behind Tusker before this game. Tusker have drawn their game, Mahia has won. Are you worried about the momentum because the more draws you have, it's going to deny you a chance of being in the top of the league?
For us, our main objective is, we have a points objective for this season, which I'm not going to share with you, but for us, we never have the league table put up. Okay, for us it's about, can we get to our points objective this season? Can we keep collecting those points as though it's a savings fund? Yeah, and at the end of the season, we'll see where that takes us. We think it'll make us very competitive. But look, I go back to what we said. You got to remember, this team is a team, we haven't been able to sign any players for a year. There's a lot of young guys in the team. You know, players we're not able to rotate in the same way other teams are. Some guys have played a lot of minutes, and I said at the start of the season that if we can get to the mid-season transfer window and be within touching distance of the top of the table, then we'll be more than happy, and you know, we can add to the squad.